Good morning to everyone out there listening to this podcast live. We're pre-recording, Matt, so it's the 22nd. But you'll be listening to this on St. Stephen's Day. I hope everyone is stuffed to the brim on turkey and ham. I suppose a lot of people will be going to the races. Please God, they haven't been cancelled in the meantime. I hope everyone had a nice time with their family and were able to actually meet their family because cases are rising very high, Matt. But I suppose we're here today to talk about the year that was Limerick's hurling year. And I suppose for the second year in a row and the third time in 3 years, it was an incredible year for John Kiley's men. Retained All Ireland title for the first time, win 3 in a row. In Munster, there was huge success for the club teams as well, underage teams. Another brilliant year. So stay tuned for all that and more as we look back on 2021 as it was for Limerick hurling.
The impression again we get out with what you put into it's like a walk of life. If you're good enough, go out and get it, no more about it.
Not so much control in the centre of the field from Kilkenny as Richie Bennett sends it high and over the bar.
Your mother sends you down to the shop for a pound's worth of goods and she gives you 50 pence. You can't get the pound's worth of goods, can you?
Just about kept in. Oh, well, God, Johnny Buckley. To do that to Tomas O'Shea, he deserves to score from here. One of the highlights of the Sunday game.
Limerick went out there from the war court today. No more about it. They made all the running, that was it. Put the ball over the bar and the back of it, and that's it. No ifs, no buts.
Is there much time left? We have a couple of injuries. Here comes Cian Lynch. Kerry leading the charge of the right brigade. 45 metres out. He's a chance to score. He's put it high.
There's no sympathy in this game for anybody.
Matt, we smile at that intro video every single week we watch it. I suppose we watch it twice a week and we still smile at it. But
I could watch it twice a day, Jack, even twice an hour.
Will we have to put Kyle Hayes' goal in there next year? I put up a thing on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram about moments of the year, and it was all Kyle Hayes' goal against Tipperary. Just try and sum it up there alongside Kieran Carey, famous point against Clare, 96.
I sure look, Jack. They were equally, you'll say I'm sitting on the fence in this one. They were equally excellent scores, but they were equally excellent scores for two different reasons. First of all, Kieran Carey's was the one that knocked out Clare out of the All Ireland, dethroned the champions, and it came in the very, very last minute, and like that there was no recovery, and that's the part of the huge romance and the significance of that one. But Kyle Hayes was equally important. It was at a time when Limerick were really struggling to get back into the game against Tipperary and it didn't look bright. But I'll tell you, when he went up and got that goal, it was the execution of it, Jack, was just the execution of both were just absolutely fantastic. I say again, thanks be to God they were both by Limerick men.
Yeah, I was watching Kyle's goal there yesterday again, and you really couldn't tire of watching. I know it off my heart now. Cian Lynch gives him a hand pass just inside 65, takes on Dan McCormack, drops the shoulder. Brilliant run by Shane Flanagan to bring up Paddy Maher. Hayes puts on to the hurley, backs it down, puts on the hurley again, drops the shoulder, and backs into the corner. It's just, if somehow you missed the goal, Matt.
Well, it was one of those days anyway. He was saying to defenders, "Out of my way! I'm on the warpath," and dropping the shoulder to stop Kyle Hayes. I don't think would take you very far.
No, I'd say if Kyle gets ahead of steam like that, forget about it. If somehow you've gone through 2021 without watching that goal, get away from us talking. You can go back and find us another time. Go find that video. It's on our website at some stage. We have an in-depth view into it. Kyle Hayes' goal against Tipperary in the Munster final. Limerick were down at half time, and we were talking about that game in depth. But I suppose it was just another moment that these Limerick players are putting together, Matt. And with 40,000 of us, thank God, in Croke Park in late August. On the 22nd of August, we got our reward. We got that All-Ireland final win with people actually in the stands after 2020. It was just brilliant to see, and that All-Ireland final game has so many different stories that, Matt, you could say. Cian Lynch's display, two halves. His first half, he's setting up 2-10. His second half, scoring 5 more points. So This first half point, Gerard Hegarty got 2 goals. Limerick got 3-18 in the first half. Limerick got 3-32 overall. Beat Cork by 16 points. Where do you want to start with that other final pass?
Jack, you're asking me a question. I'll be rhetorical for a minute and ask you 2 questions. Where do I start? And above all, where do I finish? Or could you finish?
No, we're not finished yet. We'll keep this going for as long as we can. But yeah, you make a fair point.
Look, Jack, I've been around this game for a long time, and like it was 170 minutes. Like 2018 was fantastic. It ended 45 years of a wait, for an All-Ireland. And we suffered an awful lot of heartbreak in that 45 years, Jack. And that one performance in Croke Park in 2021, it made up for it all in spades. Like, we've suffered so much at the hands of Cork over the years. Unlucky, and and you talk about great scores that Limerick players got. We were on the receiving end of a fantastic goal by John Fenton in a Munster Championship game in Thurles. But I honestly think that it was the type of game and the type of performance, I'd say, that you would absolutely dream about, and to be a wildest dream, because you would convince yourself that there would be no possibility of it becoming a reality. It was the consummate performance, Jack. It was the complete performance. From 1 to 15 and those that came on. It was just phenomenal. Records fell. Records were shattered on the day, and rightly so. It probably, Jack, and I get criticised for saying Cian Lynch is the greatest hurler of all times. It was probably the finest team performance by any team in an All-Ireland final. I can think of Kilkenny performances, but not at that level, Jack. 3 goals and 18 points in 35 minutes is just simply phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. It would win most games.
Oh, to mention the games, it would have won the Ireland final. Cork scored 122. It would have won the Ireland final if they had just down tools and went in at half time. And like that first half is just, it's the pinnacle of hurling. You're never ever going to see a half like that. And if you do, it'll probably be the Limerick team in the next, I suppose, 12, 24 months. But I suppose the writing was on the wall straight away. With Cian Lynch scoring a point from the throw-in, and it showed a lot of what's good about Limerick, that William O'Donoghue bullying his opposition, and then this unselfishness in the Limerick team to give it off to the player in the better position. And Cian Lynch would usually give a pass there, but since the nothing was on, decided they'll throw this over from outside line out in the 65. No bothers to Cian, and then a couple of Cork hit back with a free from Patrick Hurling. You're thinking the game here, and Cian Lynch then again, with just, I don't know how to describe it, just a little flick off his hurley into the hand to just takes out 2 Cork defenders. Aaron Gillane makes a brilliant run away from Gerard Hegarty. Hegarty takes the ball and drives the net. Sarah Donovan makes a brilliant run and falls over because he's just bamboozled by what Cian Lynch has done. But you could see in the first 5 minutes that this Limerick team are operating on a different level, man. You could,
yet when Shane Kingston got the goal, you said to yourself, here it is, game on. 2 games in 2018, came coming back to you immediately. The game in Páirc Uí Chaoimh, which ended in a draw, and that mammoth All-Ireland semi-final in 2018. But not a bit of it. Shane Kingston, if anything, only sparked Limerick to a new level altogether.
You don't want to anger the Limerick team.
But Limerick were up from it from the very start, Jack. And we did say all the year and this year, particularly when Limerick were going poor in the league, the roadmap was there for an All-Ireland championship. You had Cork, you had the Munster final, the All-Ireland semi-final and the final. Like, it was nice and condensed, bit congested, but condensed. You knew what you had to do, and it was a question of getting to peak at the right time. And by God, did Limerick, John Kiley, Paul Kinnerk, and their management team, did they get it spot on?
Oh, definitely spot on. I suppose we'll look at this Limerick team and what they've done as a whole later on, I suppose, the next few minutes. But starting off in that year, we waited a long time for Lee to return, play Tipperary in the Gaelic round. It's probably a game best remembered for Limerick wearing that centenary year jersey. I think it finished 20 points to all. I suppose it was a bit of a letdown after a long wait. It just never hit the heights. I suppose it's different when you're not at the ground, when you're watching from home. But then,
it was the first time also that Limerick hadn't won in 14 games. Had not won. You know?
And then the following week, they lost that long unbeaten run. So they'd lost their winning streak first, and then the unbeaten run, and then they'd lost to Waterford. And you win 3 games out of win. And I know we spoke about the time, we weren't too worried, but do you think there was an overall sense of worry or even probably optimism in other counties that were like, oh, we can get at this Limerick team that they've...
That probably was, Jack, but I came out of Walsh Park anyway, and I said it to those with me that, you know, these are 2 teams going in the opposite direction. And I said the losers are going in the right direction. The losers, Limerick, were going in the right direction. I could see it that day, and sure, look, they went on and they trounced Cork then in the next round, and then they had what I suppose, no disrespect to Westmeath, but a routine win over Westmeath, and like the rest is history, Jack.
Yeah, was it the size of the red jersey in the Gaelic grounds that probably spurred this Limerick team into life? And they hit over 33 points in the Gaelic grounds. I don't know if a county team has ever hit a score like that, but I suppose it was a warning signal to everyone that kind of we're back and probably better than ever. And it was a kind of a forecast to what was coming to Ireland final, really.
It was, and I suppose it was a statement, lads, it's game on now. The joke is over. And it probably gave Cork a false, Cork on that particular day, if you remember, they were short a number of players, frontline players, and of course they probably used that like as the reason for the shoddy performance. And Cian Kingston after the game was protesting strongly that the players, they were all injured, and they probably were, but it was a difficult game for both teams. Now, Cork came to the Gaelic grounds on that particular evening with 2 wins and a draw under their belts, and looked to be on course to at least share the league. Now, to the gone to a final if had they won it, because they would have been playing Kilkenny, but they came with that chance, and they haven't won the league since I think 1998, Jack.
Yeah, it's definitely the 90s anyway.
Yeah, 1998. And they had a chance of winning the league and of coming out of the group at that stage. But they were seriously overturned, and all right, people weren't reading too much into it. That was the usual narrative. The league and championship are totally different. Cork were short 5 or 6 players or whatever they were short, that it would have no bearing on what would happen in Thurles and whenever it happened in June. And but it had a bearing, and a big bearing, but and had a bigger bearing altogether on what happened in Croke Park in August. So I suppose Limerick's campaign really took off there. They had they were suddenly, they ended up with 5 points in the league, which didn't look likely at one stage, considering they had 1 out of 6. So they now had 5 out of 10. So they moved on to the championship in a good place. And there's nothing, in hindsight, there is nothing like the confidence of a win. Now, you'll always say it is very, very difficult to beat a team twice in the same year. And even more difficult still to beat them 3 times. But that's what Limerick did to Cork in 2021, which is most unusual. And it was that was Limerick turned the corner that evening in the Gaelic grounds, I think. And not that they were ever gone away or anything, but I think John Kiley, in the absence of the Munster Senior Hurling League, which he didn't have to try out players, he was doing a bit of experimenting here and there, and running the rule over fellas and giving them a chance and all that sort of thing. So it started coming together from there, and it came together just at the right time for, as I say, the whole plan. Well, you can put down the plan on paper all you like, but getting the plan executed, that's where the secret is. And that's where John Kiley, Paul Kinnerk and their management team really did a fantastic job.
Yeah, I suppose for Limerick going into the league, it would have been talks of 3 in a row. And once that went out the window, they lost to Galway, or I suppose at Water, really, it was kind of a case of let's get our house in order, and that's what they did. But against Cork in the Munster Championship, in Thurles, Matt, Limerick started well, and then Cork hit back with a goal, and there was a crucial moment with a penalty for Cork, and Peter Casey, rightly or wrongly, was given, there was a penalty given away against Peter, and he was sent into the bin. So Cork had a chance to go 5 clear with a man extra for 10 minutes heading into the half. And Nicky Quaid, and I know we've been talking about All-Stars in a while, and I know we think Nicky should have got one, and we made our case for Nicky, and look, it is what it is. But how crucial was Nicky's save on Patrick Horgan? So 10 minutes later, Limerick are 2 goals ahead going into the half.
I think it was crucial, absolutely crucial, probably nearly as crucial as he saved from Harnedy in 2018.
Probably, yeah, in the grand scheme of things.
But that's Nicky Quaid, that's his trademark, so I don't know why we're surprised, but absolutely crucial is what I would say, absolutely crucial, because had Cork gone 5 points ahead, I'm not saying that Cork would probably have won, but they would probably have asked Limerick more searching questions. Yeah. But if you remember after that, when Limerick got a couple of goals, Jack, like at no stage in the second half did it look like we were going to have anything other than a Limerick victory. Yeah, and I think there's 8 points in the finish.
Yeah, 222 to 117. I suppose the team at that stage was at a level you were thinking if they can get a lead, they can kind of hold off anyone. But then against Tipperary at half time, it's 216 to 12. What's the thinking there, Matt?
Well, my thinking was we were in serious trouble.
Could you see a way back, honestly?
If I'm honest, I couldn't, with the way Tipperary were playing. Yeah. Like the only bit of crumb of consolation I got was that, everything was going right for Tipperary. Like if they hit the ball towards their own goal, it would nearly go over the Limerick bar. It was one of those days. Yeah. Jason Ford was on fire. But I certainly knew that there was going to be a performance in Limerick in the second half, but whether it was enough to turn 10 points or not, I certainly had misgivings at half-time. And they were misplaced misgivings, I have to say, because like by the second water break, the whole thing had not changed. It had transformed.
Yeah, I suppose try and sum up that third quarter from Limerick, because we saw, like, at the time, you would have said that was the best quarter of hurling we've ever seen. Now, obviously, since then, the All-Ireland final probably beats that, but to outscore Tipperary 110 to a point, when you're probably in a low position as a player, nothing's going right for you, everything's going right for the opposition, as you said, like, it's really hard to turn a tide, but Limerick not only turned the tide, but I don't know how to just transformed it all together, and then it's 122 to 217 at the end of the third quarter. And then obviously with Kyle's goal yet to come. But that third quarter performance, Matt, another kind of indicator of where this Limerick team were at the time and were headed.
Jack, that's why I really dreaded this podcast. I really dreaded it, because like there is so much to discuss about, and so much good to discuss, not just positive, but good, absolutely excellence to discuss about, like, because like you take the third quarter against Tipperary, you take the All-Ireland final first half, second half, take the entire semi-final against Waterford, which they cruised through. Let's call a spade, and Waterford didn't lay a glove on them. where do you start? And as I said at the start, and where do you finish? Look, that third quarter was just absolutely Limerick at their absolutely marauding best. And we know what their best is now. And certainly, look, other managements and other teams, they will still have a lot of catching up to do with the sheer commitment, fitness, skill, and above all, the physicality of this Limerick team. And I mean physicality in the right sense of the word. Like, you're dealing with a bunch of absolutely super motivated, highly motivated athletes. As good as that has been in any code, Jack. And, we never thought... We're pinching ourselves, Jack. And we have ourselves pinched black at this stage to believe that it is true, but it is true. And this is a super team, and we need to enjoy it.
Yeah, it is a super team, and you mentioned that semi-final and just cruised past Waterford. Again, Nicky Quaid made a couple of saves when I suppose Waterford tried to put pressure on, but as you said, couldn't lay a glove and then made that All-Ireland final. And so many moments that we picked already. And look, you don't want to dwell too much, but if I had to put it to you, which was better, the third quarter of the Munster final or the first half in the All-Ireland final?
I would say probably I would have to opt for the Munster final because Limerick's title was on the line.
Yeah.
I would go to that was hugely important, Jack.
Yeah,
like the stakes were seriously high. You were 10 points down, but it gave us we're used to Limerick winning games from the front, and we're used to Limerick winning games from being slightly behind. But this gave us a new sense, and it showed a new dimension to this Limerick team, in that they can win a game from a long way back.
Yeah, 2-16-12. I'll say it again at half time. By the third quarter, they're up by 2. Like, outscore a team by 12 points. A team like Tipperary in the Munster final is just madness. And that completed the 3 in a row, Matt, of Munster titles. And we'd waited a while between 96 and 2013, and then we were waiting again 5 years after, or 6 years after that, 19. So to put 3 back to back in a county that has no weak teams, when you have Cork, Tipperary, Clare and Waterford, at all times one of those teams is going to be strong, if not a couple of them. So to win it in the round robin in 19, to win it then in knockout in 2020 and 21, like, it just shows the greatness of this Limerick team in the context of the Munster Championship.
It goes to show the greatness of him, and in 2020, as I said, it nailed a couple of fallacies that there was the talk going around in 2018 that the round robin suited Limerick and all this sort of a thing. I think Limerick laid that ghost to rest anyway in 2020 when they won it in the knockout, and again won it in the knockout again in 2021, and dare I say, it would take a brave man to bet against them winning it in the round robin in 2021 or 2022. So, absolutely. Send on the format, whatever it is, Limerick will adapt to it. That seems to be the message.
Yeah, and Limerick just seem like, obviously there's going to be a small bit of bias, but they just seem so physically ahead of every team, and also the skill levels of the players of that size. Like a player like Gerard Hegarty, who's so fast, so strong, so tall, shouldn't have a touch like a cushion is on the end of his hurley. The likes of Cian Lynch, a player we've never ever seen before. Kyle Hayes at wing back is like a cheat code. Sean Finn, the cornerback, like Rolls Royce, best defender in the game by a mile. Like, the riches that John Kiley has at his disposal and the age profile of the team, like, it would obviously be brilliant from a Limerick point of view if this continued for a long time, but there is good signs there that this won't stop.
There is good signs, and you missed the important element. We have the skill and we have the passion and all that, but Jack, we have the motivation. And these players have the motivation. And you know from meeting them that most of them now have 3 All-Ireland medals. Jack, they're one bit satisfied. They want more. The hunger. But you see, these lads have grown up, listening to the 45 years and all this sort of thing. And I think Tom Morrissey put it into context. Was it in 2018 or 2019? And when they were talking about the legacies of the 30s and all that sort of thing. And he said, we're making our own legacy, and by God, they are. And they've moved all barriers where Limerick teams haven't gone before. We had a great team in the 60s, the 30s, All-Ireland champions, 34, 36, 1940. We've 3 and 4 years now.
Yeah.
That'll give you a sense of the type of age that we are living through now with this Limerick team. But the one thing that has struck me all the time is the sense of motivation, Jack. And it will give you an idea of the type of individuals that John Kiley has assembled around him in this squad. When you see their attitude when they go back to their clubs, these are guys that have done it in the top stage. These are the guys that have done the third quarter against Tipperary. These are the guys that have done the first half against Cork in the All-Ireland final on Hurling's biggest stage. But by God, when it comes to delivering for their clubs, Jack, they're doing it as well, which is a fantastic sign of the guys.
Yeah, another great sign of the players is they're all very down-to-earth players. There's a load of All-Ireland medals at their disposal, a load of Munster titles, and I presume they're still the exact same as they were in 2018 before that. But there's one name you mentioned in there that you have to touch on, and that's Cian Kiley, Matt, because without him, this probably doesn't happen. I know the academy system is there, and that has yielded these players, the likes of Cian Lynch, Sean Finn, Tom Morrissey, Barnash, are all the same age, all came through the same team, and they're all kind of around the same age profile. But Cian Kiley has knitted us all together, and you couldn't have done a better job.
No, John is the glue, absolutely the glue. He has brought it together, glued it, and he's the glue that keeps it all together. An absolutely incredible manager, an absolutely humble man, and absolutely there is no words, Jack, that you or I or anyone could say that would pay full credit or the credit that he deserves to John Kiley. He has lifted this county. He has taken this county to a place that we only dreamt of. To a place where we sat back in awe and watched Kilkenny going in such a place. And to think that he has taken us there and keeping us there. His record is phenomenal. He's a 4 times All-Ireland winning manager. 3 senior and 1 under 21.
Yeah.
He's a 4 times Munster Championship winning manager. He's 2 times league winning manager. Jack.
You can't but smile and laugh at it all. And I suppose John.
Look, Jack. As I said, we've ourselves pinched black. So
it's so surreal, really. And John is a pioneer of all this, because when Limerick were getting hammered by Tipperary in 2009 in Croke Park, John actually rang the county board. He went about this needs to change, and just over a decade later, he has changed it so much for Limerick. And I suppose the people around him, Joe Connor started this strength and conditioning journey for this current side. Mikey Kiley has done an excellent job. They've both obviously moved on now, but the physical condition of these players is immaculate. Caroline Curry, is there any coincidence that the year that she wasn't there that we didn't win the All-Ireland? I don't know. And Paul Kinnerton as well, I think, deserves a mention. As do all Paul Kinnerton,
Jack, his secret is that he has, wherever there's a deficit in the backroom team, he goes and gets the best. And the cohesion behind the team, is absolutely second to none. He has assembled, just as he has assembled a fantastic team on the field, he has assembled a fantastic team behind it. And he's the type of guy that when you hear these giving interviews, and when praise has been lavished in his direction, he's very, very quick to share it around. Very, very quick and very, very humble to share it around. But John has done an absolutely fantastic job on the field with his players, off the field with his management team. But Jack, John Kiley is a fantastic ambassador for all things Limerick.
Yeah, he's a credit to his club first and foremost, out in Galilee, but also to Limerick in general. John
and to his family, he's absolutely fantastic.
And John is the man that glues it all together. But then you have to talk about the players, Matt, individually, and I suppose they were recognised at the All-Stars, smashed the previous record of 9, which they matched in 2020 with 12 selections this year. Just at the top of my head, Sean Finn, Barry Nash in the full-back line. The middle 8 was all Limerick, so you had Dara Byrne, Declan and Kyle Hayes, William O'Donoghue and Dara Donovan getting their first midfield. And then Grode Hegarty, Tom Morrissey and Cian Lynch make up the half-forward line for the second successive year. And then there was first for Shane Flanagan and Peter Casey. Now, obviously, we spoke in depth about the 3 boys that didn't make it, Nicky Quaid, Dan Morrissey and Aaron Gillan. And I don't know how you leave them out. To be fair, they were all exceptional all year, and we spoke about that in depth.
I certainly don't know either, Jack. And the further we move out from it, the harder I find to explain it.
Yeah.
And the more look, Jack, the more I reflect on it, the more annoyed I become. Absolutely.
Yeah, because if anyone wants to hear that in one of our previous podcasts, I think it was 165, maybe we were talking about the All-Stars. If you want to get the full thing there, we don't need to be rehashing it now. But 3 individuals were nominated for Hurler of the Year, so I think it's fair to just talk about them for a few minutes. We'll start with the man himself, Cian Lynch, and we won't talk too much because we always talk about Cian Lynch. But now he's 2-time Hurler of the Year. He's 3 Senior All-Irelands, 3 Munsters, 2 leagues, 2 under-21 All-Irelands, 2 under-21 Munsters, 2 Munster Minors, 2 Fitzgibbon Cups, 2 Hartley Cups, 3 All-Stars, man of the match in this year's All-Ireland final. You said he's the greatest ever. Just make a case there again.
Thank you. You've just made my point for me.
Yeah.
You've just made it.
And
thank you.
Missed out, 2 county titles with Patrick Swell as well.
Yeah. Thank you for making my point.
he's just different.
The listeners will be saying that's O'Callaghan waffling on again. Thanks for making the point for me, Jack.
Yeah, we'll leave it there. Cian Lynch, totally deserved Hurler of the Year.
Absolutely.
Definitely in the country at the moment, possibly of all time. Just a joy to watch. He's so
no possibility about that, Jack.
But he beat out 2 fellow Limerick players that probably in any given year would have been very worthy winners, and they were worthy winners. But could we start with Kyle Hayes? We go on to Kyle Hayes. We started the podcast talking about his goal, but overall, like, to have probably your most dangerous player at wing back, you probably would have said, "Oh, John Kiley and Paul Kinnerk are mad." But now everyone's thinking, "How do we mark that half back?" It's amazing, really.
Yeah, absolutely incredible, and those sorties he makes down the wing, and God help anybody that's in the way, So he's looking for a clear way ahead of him, or if he doesn't, he makes it very quickly. Absolutely fantastic. And you're absolutely right, Jack, in your summation there of at the outset where you said that in any other given year, these lads would have been shooing for Hurler of the Year, and it just gives you a sense of the abundance of riches that this Limerick team is all about, and it gives you a sense of what they have achieved. It's just simply phenomenal. Like Sean Finn, 4 All-Stars in a row. He has nearly a medal to match every one of Cian Lynch's, possibly except Harty and county medals,
Yeah, 20 years in intermediate with Bruff, but yeah.
He has. The most consistent defender. He's been the All-Star cornerback in each of the last 4 years, Jack. I would go over. I'd go as far as saying, and I'd stand over it, probably the best defender in the country for the last 4 years, in each of the last 4 years.
Yeah, he
he makes defending look
it's
so
just there.
easy.
Like Sean Finn is guaranteed an All-Star if he plays. Really, that's the standard he's at. It was never a question in 18, 19, 20, 21 was Sean Finn getting an All-Star. As long as he's on the field, he's the best defender in the game by a mile. And I suppose it's no coincidence that Limerick's breakthrough kind of happened with those kind of players. Like 96 was a great year for Limerick with Cian Lynch, Gillan, Morrissey, Nash, like all 96. I was born 96 as well. I'd like to just point that out, but I'm not doing what these boys are doing. But it's just unheard of to have that core group of players to come through. Like Flanagan, Casey are 97, Kyle is 98. I'm sure I'm missing players, but just that core group all around one age. And you made that point there, and I made it about Finn and Hayes could have been hurler of the year this year. Tom Morrissey could have well have been hurler of the year last year. Only Grod Hegarty got it. So there's so many hurler of the year candidates coming from one team. Like it's an abundance of riches, to which we've never seen before.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's why I'm slightly annoyed with the All Stars. But I just don't want to dwell on it anymore, Jack, because Limerick deserve 15 All Stars, and people, you included, Jack, were laughing at me when you asked me how many All Stars Limerick would get, and I said 15, and there was, I was more than a little serious about that, Jack.
Yeah, well, they all
like we've gone through and we've focused on the three that didn't get it, and we have made compelling cases as to why they should.
Yeah, and I suppose in a way the three that didn't get it, it's probably easier to because the 5 newbies that got it all were so deserving, and the three that didn't get it have got all stars. So that's Limerick's 15 to start the All-Ireland final. Every one of those has got an all-star, which is incredible, and then you have Rich English and Graham Mackay off the bench, which are also all-stars. It's very hard to see who can break into this Limerick team. And I think we were talking about the club championship in a while. You see some of the players in the club championship and you're like, how aren't they getting on this Limerick team? And then you realise just how good it is. But the production line, Matt, is looking quite well. I suppose the Miners were beaten by Cork, a very strong Cork team. And there's no doubt the Cork are coming. They have very good teams. So to lose them is no harm, and the under-20s lost to Cork in the Munster final as well after beating Clare.
Very unlucky now.
Very unlucky. And I just want to name out the starting 15 really, Matt, because I mean we're going to be seeing these players, and I suppose I'll name out the subs as well, because we're going to be seeing these players an awful lot down the year. So you got Young O'Neill from Ballybrown in goals, that's outfield for the junior team. He's next in goalie. Chris Thomas in cornerback, I've mentioned him an awful lot. Patrick Hartnett is a brilliant player at fullback. Mike Keane there. Then the halfback line.
No, but before you go from Patrick Hartnett, he's going to be exposed now to Fitzgibbon Cup hurling with UCC, which is going to be very important for him.
Yeah, I suppose a lot of players in this team probably will. Carl Coughlin, Emma McAvoy, and Cormac Ryan, the halfback line. Jimmy Quilty, who's been brilliant for Blackrock for the last 2 years, and Carl Downs in midfield. Dermot Hegarty, brother of the road. Carl O'Neill, who has not Ireland middle at his disposal. Adam English, we've waxed lyrical about this year. Brian Nixon, Newcastle, Aidan O'Connor, Ronan Fox from the subs, Ethan Hurley, Fergal O'Connor, another one from FN, Patrick Kirby, Paxwell, and Eddie Stokes. Like, though all those guys are making the senior team for most counties in Ireland, it's just what's in front of them. But like, I talk about that year of 96, like whatever that under-20s team, that's 01, like the quality is just immense in Limerick.
Absolutely immense. Like when you name it like that, and you haven't mentioned Patrick O'Donovan at all.
No.
Who was eligible for under 21 but didn't go for it this year. And he's going to be exposed to colleges hurling, but not to the Fitzgibbon Cup as he's in UL now. But yeah, there's an absolute abundance of talent, but we've seen it there during the championship. We saw Chris Thomas at first hand against with Doon Seniors, and we saw him more recently in a new position at fullback when they completed 3 in a row in the Premier Under 21 Championship. We saw Cormac Ryan as well. He's another one of them. Dermot Hegarty had a fantastic year with St. Patrick's, yeah, albeit it was at junior level, but nevertheless, but they're there. Adam English, what do we say about Adam English, Cathal O'Neill, Colin Coughlin. And Jack, what's very significant as well is that they're all eligible for under 21 again this year, or 2022.
Yeah,
so
it's a great time for Limerick that the production line isn't ceasing anytime soon. And
no,
we could talk about the county team.
Jimmy Quilty now is another player that has been absolutely fantastic, with his college Skull Pole, who were beaten in the Munster College's C final. And he was absolutely outstanding. He translated that into some excellent performances with Limerick Minors. And Jack, he had a fantastic game, two fantastic games against Clare and Cork in this year's under-21 championship. Plus, Jimmy was an outstanding player with Blackrock. And Jimmy Quilty is another player that you add to the list of players that's seriously coming through, you know.
Yeah, and there's some more like Shane O'Brien, Vince Harrison, these boys with the minor team, Lynch.
Absolutely.
The list goes on and on, but we could talk about the county team ad nauseum.
And you can. What about Oisin O'Reilly making a comeback? What about Micheál Houlihan making a breakthrough? You know.
Yeah, that's a nice segue into the county championship, because I do want to talk about the hurling, because it was another exceptional county championship, and you probably wouldn't have picked out Kilmallock at the start. And if you'd seen them in the first two games, you definitely wouldn't have picked them out to be county champions. But they came like a train, and once they got going against, I suppose winning against South Liberties was the real catalyst. But I suppose in the grand scheme of things, Kilmallock's, I suppose, dismissal of Middleton is a nice way to describe it, because they just destroyed the Cork champions. Is another indication of where Limerick hurling is at, was when you compare it to the other counties and in the Munster Club Championship.
Yeah, absolutely. In many ways, the Kilmallock Middleton game mirrored the All Ireland final, and it probably mirrored the disparity between both counties. Even though we'll say Corsie defeated Mungret only by a point, and after extra time, and Ballygiblin beat Caherline by 2 points, was it, or a point or two anyway? And it just gives you an idea of where Limerick clubs are at. And you're right, at the outset of the Limerick Championship, I don't honestly think, myself included, and I'm a great fan of what Kilmallock have done over the years, and I've seen it at first hand. They wouldn't have been on very many people's radar as potential winners of the Limerick Senior Hurling Championship. And I'd say there'd be whatever few people's radar they were on before the championship started. At the end of the group stages, I'd say they would have been on nobody's radar, because they just struggled to get over Ballybrown. They were beaten by a goal by Napirshick. But if you reflect on the Napirshick game, Jack, they were beaten by 10 points by Napirshick. And this seemed to condition an awful lot of people's thinking about Kilmallock. But if you reflect on it, and hindsight is nearly a perfect science, they were only 3 points down with 3 minutes to go. But they suffered a late, they were on the receiving end of a late flurry from Napirshick. At that point, the game could have gone either way. The game was on a knife edge. So, all right, they were beaten by 10 points by Napirshick. You could say, that's Kilmallock gone, But it really wasn't. And when we talk about Kilmallock, we seem to forget about the vast array of experienced players that they have, who are still doing it. And I'm talking about them. I'm talking about the O'Loughlin's, who are fantastic. Philip O'Loughlin has had a marvellous year, as has Mark. You've Gavin O'Mahony, you've Paddy O'Brien, you've Graham Mull. These guys, they haven't anything to prove to anybody. Robbie Egan. And then you this Barry Hennessy, Aaron Costello. Then you have this new crew coming through, and what I saw this year in Kilmallock, and you'd be talking about your team leaders and your existing team leaders, and you'd be saying to yourself, where are the team leaders coming? The new leaders coming? And yes, the new players are coming, but are the new leaders coming? The answer in Kilmallock's case is yes. None more so than Robbie Hanley. Who's after an absolutely incredible 3 games. On the biggest stage, county semi-final, county final, Munster Championship. Like Micheál Houlihan. You have the reinvention of Oisin O'Reilly. You have the emergence of Kieran O'Connor at centre half back. You know, I was wondering, you know, you wonder why we wondered that Kilmallock did eventually emerge, but you know, analysis of their team and who they have at their disposal would suggest that they should be.
Yeah, like when you, as you said, hindsight is 2020. You were foolish throwing them out, but they have been exceptional. Carolina, I suppose, were the same in the junior championship. Kind of came from nowhere and were worthy winners over St. Kieran's in the final. But I suppose in the Premier Intermediate ranks, I think Mungret, everyone would have picked Mungret to win it, and they did just that, and they won it relatively comprehensively in the end. I think they beat Capmore 4-17 to 112 in the Premier Intermediate final, and it makes for a fascinating senior V group next year. The likes of Ballybrown, Killarney Palace Kennedy won the County Cup in the first year back up. Mungret are now in there, Garrisland, Blackrock, some brilliant teams in that grade. And then on the flip side of it, in the senior championship, Adair went so close to beating Patrick Swell, and on the same day, South Liberty pushed Kilmallock all the way. So that gap is closing as well, which is another good sign for Limerick hurling. It
is a very good sign. Like we had 2 very special days, 2 very special double headers, Jack, and where it gave you a sense of where Limerick hurling really was, and that was the day of the 2 quarterfinals and the 2 semi-finals. Like they were huge games, as was the county final, of course. But and the lead up to the county final, why we should be surprised that we got a very excellent county final. We had got a forecast of it on the double, Jack, on the previous weeks, in the quarterfinals and semi-finals. And certainly you would be hoping with the performances of South Liberties, as you said, and Adair, that the gap is closing, and I have a sense that it probably is closing, and that was the original objective in the first place, that, you know, get fellas to play at their own level in the group phases, and then be prepared for the knockout. And what it needs, Jack, is a team that will emerge from Section B and win a quarter final. That will confirm that it has arrived.
I think we're at a good stage there with the teams I mentioned previously. Anne are still in the top grade as well, but you'd like to see themselves and Adair probably push in the group stages and get over the line. But it bodes well. It was a brilliant 2021 hurling campaign for the Limerick Championships. I suppose in Camogie, after a very, poor, for want of a better word, 2020, we saw the early emergence of the Limerick Camogie teams in 2021. Pat Ryan took over both sides. Pat won't be the manager next year. He did a fantastic job this year. We'll have John Lillis. But the senior side showed what they're capable of with that performance against Kilkenny. But unfortunately, they didn't get to that quarterfinal, which is the goal. And the junior side are very unlucky then in a semi-final. But when we needed stability in the Camogie side, that's what we got this year. And next year, you'll be looking to build on it.
You would, Jack, absolutely, and there were a couple of very, very notable and very, very encouraging performances during the year, Jack. First round of the league against Clare in Ennis was a very, very notable performance, as was the first round of the championship against Wexford in Newcastle West, when Wexford got a goal to win the match from a free, the last puck of the game, and the puck out blew the final whistle. Limerick came that near to beating Wexford on that day. They lost to Tipperary subsequently, and were facing into a potential relegation fight when they travelled to Burr. And what a day that was. They dug out an excellent result. And certainly Pat Ryan has brought stability and has laid the foundations going forward for John Lillis to build on. Now, Pat Ryan managed the junior and the senior teams. I understand there's going to be separate managements this coming year. As you said, John Lillis is managing the senior team. Now, the junior team did quite well, beaten in the semi-final of the league by Wexford in Bor, and then beaten by Armagh in the All-Ireland semi-final. So, you know, there are signs that there are players coming through. So, and we saw the emergence of Anya Cunningham, who played in the first round of the Junior League against Clare and lit up Kilmallock that particular day, and immediately was fast-tracked onto the senior team and has dovetailed very, very nicely into the senior team and become a crucial member of it. And so, like, definitely, it was a very, very good year for Limerick Camogie. Well, it was a much better year for Limerick Camogie in that things have been stabilised and won a couple of games at minor and under 16, which is very, 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 very promising. And beaten in the All Ireland under 16 semi-final, was it by Tipperary? Had beaten Clare in the quarterfinal. Was it by Kilkenny? They were beaten. Like, I don't remember. I forget now. I'm getting mixed up between 16s and minors. But look, there's a lot of activity going on at underage Camogie and Limerick, and an awful lot of positivity surrounding it, and an awful lot of very, very, very hard and good work being put in, and it all augurs very, very well for the future, Jack. Obviously, we'll be seeing these players coming through to the senior team and the junior team in the coming years. But overall, I think they had a new officer board this year. Now, they came in with a bit of experience. You had Grace McNamara, former player, Sheila Minahan, Fiona Hickey, came onto the officer board. And certainly, overall, they will look back with satisfaction, Jack, on the year's performance.
Yeah, and I suppose on a kind of a local front end, we spoke about Monaghan in depth in the football part of this, but I suppose Monaghan football and Newcastle hurling are kind of one and the same when it comes to women's sport. And Newcastle avenged the last in 2020 suffered a hand to Kaleedy, beating them, and Cappamore as well got over the line after losing in 2020. So a bit of redemption in the Camogie Championships and a lot of great players we saw and great days. And you mentioned as well the Camogie finals doubleheader. It was a brilliant day in the Gaelic Ground.
It was a brilliant day, absolutely, and brilliant day for Newcastle West in that they completed the double and they avenged the defeat of last year. But Kaleedy didn't roll over, Jack.
No.
They bitterly defended their title, and they bitterly defended their ambition to complete 2 in a row. But it wasn't to be on the day like that. It was just Newcastle West's day, and they're going to be involved early in the new year now in the Munster Championship when they have to go to Burgess to Harra. They have to travel there. Now I don't know the day of the county final. The understanding was that Newcastle West were going to be at home in Newcastle West to declare champions. So wherever that misinformation or whatever it came out of, but the fact of the matter is, early in the new year they're travelling to play the Tipperary champions, and we wish them the best of luck. And look, they don't have any fears, Jack. They have momentum behind them, and the players that are the dual stars, they will have the momentum of a very, very creditable Munster Clubs Championship performance in the current year behind them. So, you know, it augurs quite well for them. And Cappamore came through at the second attempt. It's very, very good to see the emergence of a team like Mona Leon.
Mm-hmm.
And who went in, you'd have to say, to the intermediate final as rank outsiders, but certainly pushed Cappamore all the way. And then you'd have to say about Adair, Jack, who won the Junior A championship. And we had memorable performances that day by Sophie O'Callaghan, Caoimhe Costello, Lauren Ryan, all players for the future. And of course, Aisling Connolly, 2 times All-Star, former Galway player, playing at full forward. A fantastic display against, and a big, very, very, very big crowd in Effin that particular day for that. And then we had the emergence of Doon as the Junior B champions. And I suppose spare a thought for 62-year-old Pauline McCarthy, who came within 4 points of completing Limerick, Camogie and football double with St. Ailbe's.
Yeah, one of the stories of the year. But we had brilliant championships, club championships in Hurling, Camogie. We had an unreal senior championship for the Limerick inter-county side. But I put you on the spot here, Matt. And if you could just pick out one moment from the year, or what springs to mind when you think about 2021 in regards to Limerick, Hurling or Camogie.
The Kyle Hayes goal.
Yeah, I put it up on Twitter and it was a unanimous decision. For me personally, I missed that final. I was away that weekend, so I only saw on television. So there obviously is that difference being there. I just think Gerard Hegarty's first goal in the All-Ireland final, that bit of magic from Cian Lynch, obviously a brilliant finish from Gerard, but just to be in a stadium with 40,000 people and just to be so engrossed in a hurling game, not to worry about what's going on in the outside world, and just to be in Croke Park to see Limerick on Ireland final day after 2020, it looked like we mightn't get there. So just to be there in person was incredible. But a year filled with so many moments, Matt, and look, 2022 is only around the corner. We're going to have Munster Hurling Cup action in the second weekend of January. So we won't have long to around 2021, but it was a very memorable one for Limerick Hurling.
Very, very memorable one. And as you said, we're heading into a very, very busy period in January, because we're going to have Kilmallock involved in the Munster Clubs final, and the possibility of a semi-final with Ballyhale Shamrocks. And you're going to have a raft of players involved with the various colleges in the Fitzgibbon Cup, which starts in mid-January. You're going to have the Munster Senior League, and you're going to have Ard Scoil Reach and other Limerick colleges involved in the concluding stages of the post-primary schools colleges championships. So, there's plenty of hurling to be. Might be only January, Jack, but there is plenty exciting hurling coming down the line, and football.
Yeah, and then in February and the end of January, the National Football League starting, and then the first weekend of February we have the hurling. So we won't have long to wait.
29th of January, I think, Jack. Longford are in the Gaelic grounds.
Yeah, I think it's the 6th of February. We travel to Páirc Uí Chaoimh for a rematch of that All-Ireland final. But until then, Matt, I suppose over the Christmas.
No, in the league we travel to Wexford.
Sorry, I'm thinking of the Munster Championship. But for now, anyway, we'll look back on a memorable 2021. Huge credit goes out to all the sides for representing their county and doing it so well. And at the end of the day, 2021, we remember for Limerick as All-Ireland Senior Hurling Championship champions. And there's not much better than that, Matt, is there?
No, that isn't. Yeah. That isn't.
Yeah.
The only thing is 2022 Limerick All-Ireland champions for a third year in a row.
Yeah, sounds a small bit better. But for now, I suppose everyone enjoy the rest of their Christmas holidays, and we wish everyone a happy new year. Please, that'll be as prosperous as 2021 when it comes to the GA front.
Can I concur with all that, Jack?
You can, of course. We'll leave it at that.
The impression again we get out with what you put into it's like a walk of life. If you're good enough, go out and get it, no more about it.
But not so much control in the centre of the field from Kilkenny as Richie Bennett sends it high and over the bar.
Your mother sends you down to the shop for a pound's worth of goods and she gives you 50 pence. You can't get the pound's worth of goods, can you?
Just about kept in. Oh, well done, Johnny Buckley. To do that to Tomás O'Shea, he deserves to score from here. One of the highlights of the Sunday game.
Limerick went out there from the word go today. No more about it. They made all the running, that was it. Put the ball over the bar and the back of it, and that's it. No ifs, no buts.
Is there much time left? We have a couple of injuries. Here comes Cian Lynch. Kerry leading the charge of the right brigade. 45 metres out. He's a chance to score. He's put it high. He's put it over.
There's no sympathy in this game for anybody.